What started out as little kisses quickly escalated. Sean found himself unable to stop the teen as she started a make-out session. "See, Clem. Don't talk," Clementine interrupted. "I want you to make love to me." Sean started to stammer. But. "Please." Clementine trailed her hand to his pants and Sean quickly grabbed at her hand. "I promise to make you feel good." Sean's eyes widened as he kept grip on her wrist. "Please. Just. Let me have this," Clementine said. Sean opened his mouth to speak but stopped, eyes going wide as Clementine broke her wrist from his grip and moved a hand over his pants. Clementine slowly unzipped his pants, slipping her hand inside. Fuck. Sean wanted to stop her, but the more she rubbed the more he felt unable to do anything. He bit back noises he wanted to make. "How's it feel?" Clementine asked. Sean couldn't bring himself to answer, he only moaned as the teen slipped her hand into his underwear and kept rubbing. "I want you to take me. Please," Clementine said. Sean could feel himself growing hard in her little hand. He tried to tell himself to stop her, that she was just a kid. But the pleasure was too much. It was overwhelming. The girl slowly freed his member from his pants and continued rubbing it. "See, Clem." Sean groaned suddenly as the teen took him into her mouth. She had no clue what she was doing, but his moans encouraged her to keep going. Sean inhaled sharply and rested his hands on her curly brown hair. He inwardly was screaming at himself to stop her, but his body was reacting on its own. Sean groaned uncontrollably, trying to keep quiet. He realized his eyes were shut and quickly opened them, scared someone would walk in. Eventually the teen pried her lips off him. "How was that?" she asked. Where the hell did you learn that?" Sean asked. Clementine didn't answer his question. "I guess you liked it," she said. The teen shifted back enough to at Sean's face. She moved closer and pressed her lips against his. "Kid, we should stop," Sean said. "Why?" "I want this." "Don't you?" Clementine asked. I do, but you're young," Sean said. "Sean. I'm bit." "You know what that means," Clementine said. Sean frowned and looked away. "Make my last moments nice," Clementine said. "I'll show you I'm not a kid." Sean paused for a moment, furrowing his brows. "Are you sure you want this, Clementine?" "Yes," Clementine whispered, nodding her head. "I've wanted this for a long time." "All right, Clem. You win," Sean said, kissing her gently. Clementine kissed back. The kisses became more passionate. Sean gently trailed kisses to her neck while stroking her hair. Clementine gasped as he kissed her neck. "Does it feel good?" Sean asked. Clementine slowly nodded. "Yes." Sean continued trailing kisses. "I want you," Clementine whispered to him. "I know," Sean said. "I don't want to hurt you." "You won't." Clementine laid down. "I trust you." Sean sighed. "Okay." Their mouths met once more. The kiss felt like it lasted forever. Sean pulled away and looked into Clementine's eyes. Sean laid Clementine on her back. She spread her legs as an invitation. Sean moved toward her and positioned himself over her. "Put it in me," Clementine said, sounding very serious and a bit urgent. Sean slowly entered her. Clementine gasped, wrapping her arms around him. Sean moaned and paused. He slid his hands down Clementine's thighs, grasping her hips. He gave a thrust forward. The teen let out a little yelp. Her face contorted in slight pain. She wasn't used to it. "Are you okay?" Sean asked, ceasing his movement. Yes," Clementine said. "Keep going." Sean nodded, moving as gently as possible. Sean had never felt anything like this. "Make love to me," Clementine's whisper encouraged him, enticing him to keep going. He started moving, eventually picking up the pace. Clementine's noises continued. The teen had to bite a pillow to muffle her sounds. They continued for a while. Suddenly Clementine felt her young body shudder as she experienced an orgasm. Pleasure swept through her body like a tornado. Sean slowly down a bit too. He felt himself getting close. Then realization hit him. He hadn't even thought about protection. He started to pull out, but Clementine wasn't having it. She wrapped her legs around him, keeping him in place. "Don't stop." "See, Clem, I have to, Sean said. I can't finish anew. Clementine shook her head. It's okay. Sean disagreed with her words. No. It's not. It's not okay. Without hesitation she pulled him close and whispered in his ears. I want this. Sean gulped but gave in. He continued thrusting until he reached his peak. Clementine trembled a bit as she felt him finish in her, before he pulled out. They collapsed in each other's arms. I love you, Clementine muttered. Sean felt sick to his stomach. He had let some kid seduce him. And now the little girl was telling him she loved him. She didn't even know what love was. He kept quiet as the young girl snuggled against him, slowly drifting to sleep. He tried to convince himself not to feel bad. He had fulfilled the teen's dying wish. This is what she wanted. He wondered how the others would react if they found out. Specifically, Kenny. He was sure he'd be a dead man if Kenny knew what had just happened. Kenny loved Clementine like she was his own daughter, Katja too. The two of them would be devastated when the kid died. The whole group would. Sean frowned, looking to the teen's bite wound. Of all people, why did it have to be her? How could this happen? First he lost his family, and now he was losing this young girl who he had grown to care about more than anyone here. It wasn't fair. Sean slowly broke free from Clementine's grip, gently resting the teen's head on a pillow. He didn't want to leave her, but he couldn't be in there when she turned. He didn't want to see that. The man made his way to his feet and walked from the room, leaving the girl alone. It had been hours since Sean stepped from that room. He had never felt so anxious in his lifetime. He wanted to break down and cry. He hadn't felt this bad since his sister's death. When Katja announced that she was going to go check on Clementine, Sean felt his heart drop. Katja, don't. He quickly said. Why not? Katja asked, looking confused. I just don't think it's a good idea, Sean said. And why the hell not? Kenny inquired. Sean couldn't bring himself to answer. Katja raised a brow. Are you feeling okay? You didn't catch a fever too? Katja reached out a hand and felt his head. Sean quickly shook his head. No. It's not that. Then what? Kenny asked. I'm worried, Sean simply said. Don't be. Clem's gonna be fine, Katja said, removing her hand from his forehead. Yeah. It's not like she's dying. It's just the flu, Kenny said. Sean frowned at that. I'll be right back. Katja turned to walk away. Katja, wait. Sean tried to follow her, but Kenny grabbed his arm. What the hell is your problem? You don't want Clem getting better? Kenny asked, looking annoyed. Of course I do. I just know she won't. Sean muttered the last part. Kenny however heard and shot him a glare. Why would you say something like that? Sean bit his lip, not responding. Answer me, asshole, Kenny spat. She's bit, Sean said. Kenny looked stunned for a moment. What? There was no way he could have heard right. She's bit, Kenny. Sean repeated. Fucking liar. Kenny's growled, shoving Sean back. Sean quickly regained his balance. I'm not lying. She showed me the bite. Bullshit, Kenny spat. Kenny didn't even let him finish. I don't believe a damn word you say. I wouldn't make something like this up. I saw the bite, Sean said. What's going on? Carly asked, stepping over. The others were looking concerned as well from the yelling. Kenny shot Sean a glare. Why don't you tell them? Before Sean could speak however, Katja stepped outside. Kenny quickly rushed over to his wife. Are you okay, hun? Kenny asked his wife. I'm fine, Kenny. Katja assured. What about Clem? Kenny asked. She's doing better. Just resting. Her fever broke, Katja said. What? Sean was surprised by what he heard. So she's gonna be okay? Of course, Katja said. Damn right. Clementine's tough, you piece of shit, Kenny hissed. Kenny, what's gotten into you? Katja asked, her tone telling him she disapproved of his behavior. This son of a bitch had the nerve to make up a story about Clem being bit, Kenny said. What? Katja looked shocked. Yeah. Screw him, Kenny said. I'm telling you what I saw, Sean said. Bullshit. You know what a bit does to you. You get bit, you die, Kenny said. Clem ain't dying. She's fine. Sean didn't know what to say. He was glad Clementine would live. More than glad, in fact. But he was worried. He had slept with that girl while she was emotionally and physically vulnerable. Not to mention Clementine had strong feelings for him, and to be honest he had some kind of feelings for the teen as well. If people found out what had happened between them, he'd be done for. He decided to walk away before things got any more heated with Kenny. Surely Kenny would be the one to put a bullet in him if he found out what just happened between him and Clementine. What was he going to do? Things had been awkward, and honestly that was an understatement. Clementine didn't know how to describe her and Sean's situation. She didn't know if he considered them a couple or what they were. She hadn't said a word about what happened between them, knowing full well that Kenny would freak out if he found out what they did, and the other group members wouldn't be too pleased either because of her young age. Despite her being only a month or so away from her 16th birthday now, they still treated her like a kid. Sean hadn't brought things up either, but what happened between them was still fresh in her mind. Still she knew they had other things to worry about, and she felt it would be selfish to draw attention to her feelings, so she kept quiet. Days continued to fly by, and Clementine figured it would be best to just pretend things had not happened. However, avoiding Sean was practically impossible without raising attention from the others. So, she was forced to suffer in silence. Sean seemed to notice something was bothering Clementine, and he was sure it was because of what they had done. He felt guilty for just brushing the girl aside like he had, but he had so many mixed feelings about what they had done. She was so young. After days of awkward silence, Sean finally decided he needed to talk to the girl. Clem, we need to talk. Clementine shook her head. There's nothing to talk about. There is. You can't keep avoiding me, kid, Sean said. There it goes again. Clementine groaned. What? That word. That stupid word, Clementine said. You still think I'm a kid? Clem, just listen to me, Sean said. I don't want to listen to you. I've asked you to stop calling me kid but you don't listen, so why should I listen to you? Clementine huffed. We need to talk this out, Sean said. We don't need to do anything. Just leave me alone, Clementine said. Sean noticed the tears brimming in her eyes as she turned to walk away. He couldn't help but feel awful. Tension was growing at the motor inn. They had been the target of various attacks. Some of the group members were set on leaving but others were set on staying put. Kenny and Sean had been the ones to take on most of the runs as of lately, which proved to be a pain in the neck for both of them. Macon was full of walkers, and the drugstore where they gathered supplies was quickly running out of things they needed. Perhaps moving on wouldn't be the worst thing. This is some shit. So where do you stand on leaving? Kenny asked Sean as they searched through the drugstore for supplies. I don't think it's a bad idea, Sean replied. Really? Maybe you should speak up next time Lily decides to scream at me about wanting to go, Kenny said. I'm not trying to get in the middle of that shit, Kenny, Sean replied. I know, you're always content with just sitting on the fence. Kenny huffed. But I can't expect a kid to have my back. Whatever. Sean was offended by that. He wondered if this was how Clementine felt when she was called a kid and treated like she couldn't help. I just don't want to be in the middle. Yeah, whatever. Kenny grumbled. So. Clem's not doing great. Sean suddenly muttered. After what happened at that dairy farm, no she ain't. I didn't expect her to bounce back, but poor kid, Kenny said. As soon as I get that RV working, I'm getting her, Danny and the rest of my family the hell out of here. Did you talk to her about that? Sean asked. Talk to her about what? Kenny asked. Leaving. Is that what she wants? Sean asked. She's a damn kid. She doesn't know what she wants, Kenny said. You should try talking to her, Sean said. Her opinion matters. No need. She'll go where I go. I know it. Kenny replied. Sean understood now. He understood why Clementine was so bothered with being called a kid. It was because she was constantly being counted out because of her age and it wasn't fair to her. Once he got back to the motel, he needed to talk to her. Another few days went by and Clementine did her best to steer clear of Sean, She didn't really want to talk to him at the moment. Sean was growing desperate to fix things between him and Clementine. He couldn't stand the awkwardness, however every time he tried to speak with the girl, she would walk away or ignore him. He couldn't take it anymore. It was late, mostly everyone had head to bed, besides Carly who was sitting on watch. Sean waited a while before heading to Clementine's room and knocking at the door. When the girl didn't respond, he slowly opened it, finding the girl in bed with Danielle beside her. For a moment he thought the teen was asleep as well, but the girl sat up and looked over to him. "Sean?" "Yeah, it's me," Sean confirmed. "What are you doing in here?" Clementine asked as she got out of bed, carefully as not to wake Danielle. "I knocked," Sean replied, rubbing the back of his head. "I heard," Clementine muttered. "You didn't say anything," Sean said. "I figured it might be you," Clementine replied. "You've been avoiding me for days," Sean said. "Glad you noticed," Clementine huffed. Sean sighed at this. I just want to talk to you, Clem." "There's nothing to talk about," Clementine said. "Please. It won't be long," Sean said. Clementine was silent for a moment then sighed. "Fine. But not in here. I don't want to wake Danielle." Sean nodded. "Fair enough." After Clementine double-checked that Danielle was fast asleep, Sean led the girl into his own room. Once they got to Sean's room, the girl proceeded to lean against the wall and asked with a bored expression, "What do you want to talk about?" "Whatever's bothering you. I can tell you're upset," Sean said. "Thanks, Captain Obvious. But I doubt you care," Clementine said. "I do care." "Well, you have a funny way of showing it," Clementine scoffed. "I gave you my virginity and you just acted like it was nothing. We haven't really talked in weeks, Sean." "You've been avoiding me too, Clem. You know that," Sean said. "You avoided me first. You hurt me. I gave you my body and you didn't give a fuck," Clementine retorted. "Clem, it's not like that," Sean argued. "Then what is it like?" Clementine inquired. It's wrong. You're a kid," Sean said. Clementine felt anger run through her. "I'm not a fucking kid. I'm not like Kenny. I'm not trying to hurt you or downplay you when I call you a kid. That's just what you are," Sean said. "Stop," the girl said. Clementine suddenly approached him. "Kids don't do this." Sean didn't get the chance to speak before the girl suddenly kissed him. "Or this." The girl began removing her shirt. "Clementine." "I'm not a kid, Sean. I'll prove that to you," Clementine said. "I want this." "CL Clementine. I want you." The girl's voice made his skin crawl. "Fuck," Sean muttered. Clementine began to pull him to the bed, and the two proceed to strip each other's clothing. "Someone might hear." Sean hesitated. "That makes it more exciting," Clementine whispered. "Oh fuck," Sean mumbled. Clementine simply pulled him into another kiss. When Danielle awoke the next morning and noticed Clementine was no longer in bed beside her, the girl was worried. The small child began searching for the older girl, wondering where she had gone. When she got outside, she didn't see Clementine out there either. The girl tried to think of where Clementine could have gone. She noticed most of the group members were already outside, besides Lily, but that was nothing strange. Ben was sitting silently by the gate, Duck was coloring while Katja watched over him, and Carly just switching her watch shift with Kenny. But Clementine was nowhere to be seen. Sean was also missing. Danielle figured Clementine had to be with him. The child decided to head to his room to check if Clementine was in there. The two had drifted off after their session, but when morning came both of them were wide awake. "Good morning," Clementine greeted Sean. "Still think I'm a kid?" "I don't know." Sean smirked. "Maybe you should prove how grown up you are some more." "Are you sure you can handle it?" Clementine climbed on top of him. "Guess we'll have to find out." Sean flipped her over, pinning her to the bed. Clementine moaned as she felt him trail kisses down her neck. "Gotta be quiet. You don't want to wake anyone." Sean hushed. "Asshole," Clementine mumbled out. "What was that?" Sean licked over a sensitive spot on her neck, causing her eyes to fall closed. When the two heard a light knock at the door, they ignored it, hoping the person would go away. "Clem?" Danielle's little voice caused them to freeze. "Clem, are you in there?" Clementine didn't answer. However, the door suddenly opened and they froze. "Clem, can you play with me?" Danielle frowned, noticing Sean on top of Clementine. The girl froze in place, fearing that Clementine was being forced into something bad. Let go of her." "Oh shit," Sean mumbled, moving off the girl immediately. "Danielle, wait," Clementine called before the child could dash out of the room. We need to talk." Clementine and Sean quickly redressed themselves, before Clementine had Sean leave the room so she could speak with little Danielle. "Hey, are you sure he wasn't hurting you?" Danielle asked, looking concerned. "I'm sure," Clementine said. I wanted to do that, sweetie." "Why? Why would you want to do that bad stuff?" Danielle was confused. "It's not bad for adults, it's bad for kids," Clementine said. "But you were a kid," Danielle said. Clementine shook her head. "I'm not." "Oh. But I thought you were," Danielle said. "Everyone else thinks so too." Clementine sighed at that. "Don't listen to everyone else." "Okay." From there, Clementine did her best to explain sex to the small girl. "Were you trying to make a baby?" Danielle asked. Clementine's face flushed red. No, it's not exactly only for that. Please don't tell anyone, Danny. It's not something I want everyone to know. It's private." "Okay, I won't tell," Danielle said. The child was quiet for a moment before nervously asking, "Will Sean do that to me too?" "No. He would never," Clementine said, giving her a sad look. "The people who hurt you were bad. They raped you and they never should have done that. You should never have had to go through what you did. Sex is supposed to be something grown-ups do when they're older and when they choose who they want to be with. If someone forces it, it's called rape." Why did they do it to me then?" Danielle asked. "I don't know, Danny, they were just bad people," Clementine said. "I promise, no one will ever hurt you again." "You promise?" Danielle asked. Clementine nodded, wrapping an arm around her. "I swear on my life." "Thank you." Clementine and Sean were much more careful after that. They established a relationship but kept things quiet. They would wait until everyone was asleep before doing anything. Clementine really enjoyed spending time with the older boy. When everything was a mess, she just felt so calm around him. She felt as if she was falling in love. She had never felt this way before, but she liked it. As the days went on, life at the motor inn took a quick shift from carefree and pleasant to chaotic. Kenny wanted to move on, but Lily wasn't ready to move. Clementine had mixed feelings. She had gotten comfortable and didn't want to just up and leave without a true destination known, but they were also going to run out of food eventually. And the bandit attacks weren't making things any better. Days ago, Lily had flipped out on everyone over a broken flashlight she found in the garbage, and while that was strange, it didn't prove anything. The woman was paranoid, that was for sure. However, when Lily started telling them supplies was going missing, they were all concerned. Kenny had been restlessly working on getting an RV going, and he was convinced that once he got it working, he would take his family along with Clementine and Danielle and head to Florida. Clementine didn't know how to feel but didn't protest. She knew it would break Kenny's heart if she didn't go, and she also knew she needed to think about what was best for Danielle. She knew no matter what happened she wanted to stay with Sean. She wondered what he planned on doing. Kenny and Sean were sent back to Macon to gather more supplies. The food they had was running out, and as the days went on there was a growing tension at the motor inn. Kenny was wearing a backpack and holding a pistol, while Sean was holding a rifle. The two men sneak through Macon and peek around a corner. Seeing that the coast is clear, they walk into the empty road. "Looks like this is our lucky day," Kenny said. "Yeah, this might actually go smoothly," Sean agreed. "We deserve it after last time," Kenny said. Sean couldn't agree more. Their last few runs had been a mess. Sean looks inside a broken and partially boarded up window, then moves on seeing it empty. Sean and Kenny keep walking. "So where do you come down on, stayin' or goin'?" Kenny asked. "You made up your mind for sure yet? Or are you still staying on that fence?" "I'm not completely sure. But I'm not opposed to leaving," Sean said. "Well, whatever happens, I'm going," and my family is coming with me. And if Lily's dead set on staying, then, well, that's the way it goes, Kenny said. Sean didn't respond to that. They reached the destroyed remains of the drugstore. Okay, just like last time. Over the rig, into the pharmacy, and scrape together whatever supplies are left, Kenny said. We didn't leave much in there, Sean said. We're out of options. Something's better than nothing. Kenny climbs up the ladder on the side of a truck near the pharmacy. As he reaches the top, one side of the ladder comes unattached. Shit. You okay? Sean asked. The ladder's come loose. I'm not sure how many more trips she's got in her, Kenny said. I'm not sure how many more trips we've got in US, Sean said. No kidding, Kenny agreed. Sean grabs onto the bottom rung of the ladder and the whole thing breaks off. Sean tosses it to the ground. Looks like she's had it. What now? Kenny asked. I'll find another way up. Sean shrugged. Better get a move on, Kenny urged. Sean looks around, trying to think of something. He grabs the winch on the Jeep and walks forward, pulling it along. Lily's not doing so good, huh? Kenny sighed. She wasn't. Not at all, but Sean knew what she was going through. Well, she lost her father. It's not an easy thing. Sean attaches the winch to the trailer axle of the truck, then turns on the winch control, which reels in the winch and pulls the Jeep to the truck. The Jeep reaches the truck, and Sean climbs onto it. Duck brought up your dad's farm last night, Kenny said. Really? What did he say? Sean asked. He was just feeling bad about it. Blames himself, said he almost got you killed. Kenny answered. But he didn't. He has nothing to feel guilty for, Sean said. Thanks for saying that. Kenny extends his hand and Sean takes it. Kenny pulls him up. Suddenly a blood-curdling scream is heard. A grime-covered woman runs out of one of the buildings, screaming as walkers chase and surround her. Go away. Help me. Somebody help me. Oh, God. Oh, God. Kenny's eyes widened. What the hell is that? A walker? Walkers don't scream. Do they? Sean replied. Jesus. I don't think so, Kenny said. Sean looks through the scope of his rifle. The woman continues screaming and calling for help. A zombie grabs onto her as she falls, but she manages to push it away and get up. It's a girl, we have to help her. How? There's no getting to her. Kenny argued. We gotta do something, Sean said. A walker bites the woman's leg and she screamed again. Maybe we should shoot her. Put her out of this misery. Sean felt bad for suggesting it, but it was all he could think of. We can't waste the bullets. We leave her alive and she draws them all to her, buying us time, Kenny said. That's fucked up, Sean said. Think about it. We're always worrying about the ones we can't see. She stays alive and brings them all out of their holes, Kenny said. Fuck. I can't do that, Kenny. Sean aimed his gun, despite Kenny's protest, shooting the woman after some hesitation. God damn it, Kenny hissed. The walkers notice Sean and Kenny. Now look what you done. Let's move, Kenny said. The two rushed to enter the back door of the drugstore, closing it behind them. It's sturdy as hell, but we ain't got much time, Kenny said. Get everything you can out of these racks. Don't forget underneath the counter this time. I'll clear down here and then we gotta go. Sean moves a shelf upright and quickly starts gathering supplies. They continued collecting all they can until they can hear the walkers getting closer and they can hear pounding on the door. Kenny jumps over the counter. Up and over. Sean follows suit. We're still clear, let's hustle, Kenny said. Before they can escape, walkers knock a door over, trapping Sean beneath it. Sean tries to push the door off himself. Kenny runs over and helps Sean lift the door off himself. Kenny draws his pistol. Fridge. Sean pushes the fridge over, blocking the door and crushing a walker beneath it. Kenny shoots the nearby zombies. Out. Let's fucking get out, Kenny said. Kenny runs to the front. As Sean follows him, a zombie jumps out in front of him. Sean whacks the zombie with his rifle. It tries to grab him, but he uses his rifle to push it backwards into the debris, and its chest is impaled on a piece of rebar. More walkers approach. Sean and Kenny escape through a hole in the wall. It's not long before Sean and Kenny return to the motel. Ben is keeping watch, sitting in a chair on the RV. Sean knocks on the doorframe of the open door to Lily's room. Lily opens the door all the way to speak to Kenny and Sean. Katja and Carly come over to listen in as well and see what supplies they grabbed. "Looks like we got the kid on watch again," Kenny complained. Lily ignores his comment. "What did you get?" Sean takes the pistol and gives his rifle to Lily. "We might as well leave out a sign that says the men are gone, come and rape our women and children," Kenny continues. Lily rolls her eyes at that and sets the rifle down on her dresser. "So, what did you get?" "Whatever was left," Sean said. Kenny hands Lily the backpack. She places it on her bed and searches it. "We're fine, by the way," Kenny said. Lily once again ignores his comment. "Nice work. This will keep us going. If we carry on like this, we'll get through the winter here." "The winter? We'll freeze our asses off here," Kenny said. Lily glared at him. "Because piling into an RV with you two, after what you did to my dad, is so appealing." "Why wouldn't it be? You know I'll do what it takes to keep everyone safe," Kenny said. "We're already safe," Lily said. "Take a look at the wall, Lily. That's not graffiti. Those are bullet holes. And we got enough arrow shafts sticking out of it to dry our laundry. And that's all beside the fact that Macon is busting at the seams with walkers," Kenny said. "We don't have walker problems," Lily said. "We have to go eventually, Lily," Sean sighed. "We don't have to do anything," Lily argued. "You didn't want to go because of your dad's health, but he's gone now," Kenny said. "Which means there's nothing keeping us here." Sean shot him a look. "Easy, Kenny. I'm sorry. But somebody needs to make executive decisions for the group though, and I don't think you're capable anymore," Kenny said. "Don't start with me," Lily said. Katja frowned. "Ken, we're all losing it with the attacks and lack of food." "We can't fight about this right now," Carly said. "Do we always have to have a power struggle?" "We need to talk about it though. What about the food situation? What about protection? What about when this place falls? Somebody's got to be thinking about this shit," Kenny said. "How has this not been working?" "We have everything we need," Lily stated. "'Cause of me, Lily," Kenny claimed. "That's BS, Kenny, and you know it," Lily disagreed. "We got plenty of food out of that station wagon," Sean pointed out. "We can't just keep our fingers crossed for more station wagons," Kenny replied. "Everything that happens to us is another excuse for you to pull this crap about leaving. All I want is a week of peace, of not hearing it," Lily said. "We wouldn't even be fighting about our medicine and supply stocks if Sean hadn't fucked up downtown," Kenny said. "What do you mean?" Lily asked. "Some girl came screaming out of an alley. She had dead hanging all over her. She was making enough noise that we would have had plenty of time to get what we needed. Instead, smart guy shot her," Kenny said. "He what?" Carly asked. "He put her out of her misery." "Stupid," Kenny said. "Instead of what, letting her suffer?" Lily asked. "There was no saving her?" Katja asked. Sean shook his head. "She was too far away." "So you shot her instead?" Lily asked. "I couldn't just let her suffer," Sean said. "It was fucking stupid. But, look, we've been putting our lives on the line doing these runs into the city. You wouldn't believe the shit we see," Kenny said. "We all appreciate it, Ken," Katja said. Kenny shook his head. "Macon and its people aren't savable. It's not a town. It's full of walkers and the people who were left are dying and wandering out onto the streets. It's hell on earth and it's coming this way. It's not going to be easier out on the road." Lily suddenly snapped. "How would you know?" Kenny asked. "What I know. I know you're not above murder. I know somebody has been stealing our supplies. That's right, stealing, and I know the list of people I can trust here gets smaller every day. Now everybody get out." Lily closes the door, and everyone walks away. "She just needs time," Sean said. "She'll settle down. She's riling everybody up, otherwise," Kenny said. "You understand, Ken," Katja said. "She's right about one thing. None of this is getting any easier," Kenny said. "Do you think someone's really stealing from us?" Clementine asked her boyfriend. "I don't know. That's what Lily said," Sean replied. "Clem." "Yeah?" Clementine looked up to her boyfriend from where her head was resting in his lap. If Kenny gets that RV going, and the group does end up splitting, I think you should go with him, Sean said. Clementine's eyes widened. What? I want you to go with Kenny, Sean repeated. Clementine pulled away and sent him a look. What? Why are you saying this? Because it's how I feel. It's not safe here, Clem, Sean said. And what about you? Clementine asked. I'll figure it out. You know Kenny and I don't exactly always get along, Sean said. But we're supposed to stay together. What about us, Sean? We're supposed to be something, Clementine argued. I just want you to be safe, kid, Sean said. Clementine glared at him. Don't call me kid. Sorry. It slipped, Sean said, looking to the door, hoping Kenny hadn't heard her shout. Sure, it did. The girl rolled her eyes and stood. I'm gonna take watch. It's about time I switch with Ben. Sean sighed as she walked away. He hadn't meant to piss her off. After the incident at the farm, the adults refused to allow Clementine to go on a run, much to the girl's dismay. And it took a lot of convincing for them to allow her to take watch. Kenny, Katja, and Lily agreed that she could take watch during the day only. Clementine figured that was better than not being allowed. However, that night when Ben had said he was feeling ill, the girl immediately offered to take his watch shift for the night. Kenny protested, but Sean cut in, saying he would tag her out early. This caused Lily and Carly to agree that it would be fine. Katja also gave in after some reassurance, leaving Kenny outnumbered. Now the girl sat on top of the RV, doodling on a piece of paper while glancing up every so often to make sure nothing was out of the ordinary. Things had been pretty quiet for the last few days as far as the bandits were concerned. The girl, however, furrowed her brows as she looked up from her drawing and spotted a figure. Through the darkness it was hard to tell who it was, but she noticed them by the gate. She was annoyed that she didn't have a gun, but the group didn't feel comfortable giving her one, knowing how depressed she had been. Curious, the girl placed her pencil down and started to climb down from the RV, wanting to check things out. Hey! The sudden voice behind her made her jump. She felt someone hug her from behind and immediately knew it was Sean. She was used to him doing that when Kenny wasn't around. Are you still pissed at me? Sean asked. Maybe a little, Clementine muttered. Can I change that? He kisses her neck and she squirmed a bit. Sean. The others will be up soon, maybe we can mess around a bit, Sean suggested. Distracted, Clementine briefly forgets about the person she spotted. But she quickly shook her head. Actually, as much as I'd love that, I need to talk to Lily, the girl said, moving out of his arms. What's wrong? Sean asked. I saw someone, Clementine said. By the gate. Are you sure? Sean looked over. I don't see anyone. I'm pretty sure, Clementine said. Just keep your guard up. And be ready. Ready for what? Sean asked. For an attack, Clementine said. The girl soon headed over to the gate, pushing the dumpster aside with a bit of struggle. She then went to a grate in the side of the wall and noticed there is a brown paper bag. She takes the bag out and opens it, discovering that it is filled with medicine and some food. Oh fuck. The girl quickly headed back into the gate. Clem, what's up? Sean asked. I found something. We need to tell the others, Clementine said. Sean nods, goes to wake Kenny and Carly. Once Kenny and Carly come out of their rooms, Clementine shows them what she had found. This was outside. Clementine shows them the bag and the supplies. Fuck. So we do have a damn traitor, Kenny grumbled. Seems that way, Carly huffed. I'm going to talk to Lily, Clementine said. Kenny curses again and goes to wake Duck and Katja and get them ready for a likely attack, while Clementine goes to Lily and tells her what she found. Lily is surprised to see her. I figured you'd be going to sleep by now. Sean just relieved me from watch. I need to talk to you. It's important, Clementine said. About? Clementine showed her the bag. Lily snatched it. Did you come in here to confess? No. I didn't steal it. I found it, Clementine said. She then explained to Lily where she found the bag and about the person she had saw by the gate. This has to be Carly or Ben, Lily said. Hold on, You can't just go pointing fingers, Clementine said. It's one of them. Carly's always on night shift, and Ben's new, so we can't just give him a pass. Lily huffed. We can't jump to conclusions either, Clementine said. Lily sighed but nodded. Okay. We line everybody up. Everybody. Somebody is killing us. Stealing from that supply is the same as slipping into your room at night and cutting your throat while you sleep. You die. What is the difference? Let's just be smart about this. Whoever this was for, isn't going to be happy when they don't get their package, Clementine said. Everyone needs to be ready. I have a feeling that things aren't going to be pretty. They knew it was coming. They stayed on guard for hours, expecting an attack. Duck and Katja both tried to get some rest, leaned against the RV. Clementine and Danielle were close beside them while the others kept watch. When morning came, Lily was practically pacing. Kenny groaned at this. Would you please sit the fuck down? You're making everyone anxious. Good, they should people. We could be facing an ambush any minute. Clementine noticed Ben fidget a bit at the mention of an ambush, but she said nothing. Just settle down, will you? Kenny huffed. Please don't fight, we don't need this right now, Sean sighed. Hey, I'm just trying to keep her from riling everyone up, Kenny said. We all know that's what she does best. Knock it off, Kenny, Carly sighed. I'm just saying. A sudden bang against one of the boarded walls grabbed their attention. Oh, fuck. Everyone get ready, Lily said. How do we know that's them? Ben asked. A loud yell answered his question and the group scrambled to their feet, grabbing their weapons and taking cover. You don't fucking steal from US. Get ready. They're gonna start kicking in doors any second, Lily said. You made the biggest mistake of your lives. One of the bandits screamed. They could hear more bangs against their gates as the bandit began to break through their walls. It doesn't have to be like this, just turn around and get the fuck out of here. Kenny called. Maybe we can make a deal, Ben said. Oh, we'll make a deal all right. Either they turn the fuck around, or they get blasted with bullets, Kenny said. The bandits managed to break their way through the wall only for Lily to shoot one of the bandits in the head. Krista. One of the bandits exclaimed. Carly shoots two of the bandits, killing them, while Sean shoots one of the bandits, just as he climbs over the wall, hitting him in the leg. The bandit makes it to the other side and whistles, alerting the other bandits to run out of the woods. Bandits fire at them and two of them move the dumpsters from the gate. Get back there. Smoke them out, they heard one of the bandits yell. Sean, Lily, and Kenny and Carly do their best to cover the group. Ben hides behind a pile of furniture. Ben tries to run over to RV, but is stopped just in time by Carly as a bandit fires at him. Carly pulls him back behind cover and the bullet misses, hitting the window behind him. Ben dives to the ground and returns to his hiding spot. Keep your head down. Carly orders. Sorry, Ben said. We gotta get out of here. Kenny calls to Sean. No shit. Sean huffs. Cover our people, I'm gonna get the RV going. Kenny orders, rushing into the RV. Sean fires at several of the bandits, eventually clearing the way for Ben and Carly to run over. Now. Get over here. Hurry. Ben and Carly run over to the RV. Man, you saved our asses, Ben said, looking grateful. Get inside. Hurry. Ben and Carly get in the RV. The bandits successfully move the dumpster away from the gate. Sean notices Katja, Duck, Clementine, and Danielle crouch behind some furniture. Danielle is practically in tears, knowing these are the same people who stole her away from her mother and tormented her. The small child was terrified. Help. Katja calls out. Katja. Hang on. Sean calls. The sound of all the gunshot draw walkers which start to attack the bandits. Sean shoots more of the bandits, clearing a path for Katja, Clem, and the little ones. Katja. Hurry. Come on. Sean urges. As Katja and Duck try to run to the RV, a walker knocks them over and tries to bite them. Clementine yanks the walker off, pushing it to the ground, only for it to grab her. She feels it bite at her leg just before it is shot by Sean, who is the only one of the group who sees her get bit. Kenny rushes out and his heart drops when he notices Katja and Duck on the ground. Cat. Oh, Christ. Kenny rushes over and helps Katja and Duck get up and run to the RV. Clementine takes Danielle's hand and the two run over as well. Sean rushes over helping the others into the RV. Lily is still firing at the bandits from the balcony. Lily, get in the RV, Sean calls. Screw her. Let her stay, Kenny says and tries to start up the RV. Not happen. Lily, come on, get down Sean doesn't get to finish that sentence before he is suddenly shot straight through the head. His body falls forward and Clementine screams out in horror, trying to rush over to him. Kenny shoots the man who killed Sean and then practically drags the distraught young girl into the RV. Lily's eyes widen. Holy shit. With some hesitation, the woman rushes down from the balcony. Lily gets into the RV. As Kenny works on starting the RV, Carly jumps out and draws her pistol. Crouching at the other end of the RV, she fires at the bandits as Lily does the same. Kenny gets the RV working and the two women run inside. Kenny drives away, killing several walkers and breaking through the fence. Katja sits in the front seat, cradling Duck. Both of them are covered in walker blood. Kat. Jesus, are you okay? Kenny asked. Katja nods. I'm fine. Oh, shit, oh, Ben frowns, holding head in his hands. I'm sorry. It's gonna be okay, Ben, Carly said. Lily shook her head. Everything's not fine. We need to figure out how this happened. We just lost everything. They could hear Clementine whimpering a bit from the back seat. Danielle was shaking as well, as Carly kept a comforting arm around the small child. Is everyone okay? Carly asked. Of course not. Sean's dead, Clem's a mess. And Kat's head is split open, Kenny exclaimed. I'm fine. Katja claimed. Clementine silently curls herself up in a corner and shuts down as the others continued to go back and forth. Somebody in here caused this, Lily said. Settle down back there, the bandits have had our number for weeks, Kenny said. This is different. Somebody was working with them. Whoever it was slipping them our meds. They didn't get their last package, so they attacked, Lily said. So, Ben. I think we need to talk. Ben's eyes widened. Whoa, what? Lily, hold on, what are you doing? Carly asked. The new guy who could have easily been a plant? We have no reason to trust him, Lily said. You think I'd do anything to hurt you guys? Ben asked. I wouldn't. Lily glares at him. Don't play dumb. Were you hoping they'd eventually kill us all and you could join them? Ben quickly shook his head. Why you? You guys are like my family. Chill out back there. Kenny calls to them. I can't chill out, Kenny. We have all the evidence we need to put the pieces together, Lily said. You have evidence? Kenny asked. No. Not here, but Clem found the supplies. I've been seeing an entire signaling system. Chalk. Signaling system? Kenny questioned. I know it sounds crazy, Lily said. It is crazy, Ben said. Just knock it off, Lily, this is ridiculous. Carly spoke. Lily sent her a look. Maybe it was you then. Carly scoffed. Please. We have to get it out of you, then? Lily taunted. Back off. Carly ordered. You're in no position to make demands. Lily argued. You're just pointing fingers. Carly protested. I didn't just come up with this, I've had my suspicions, Lily said. Probably not the best time for this, Lily, Kenny said. If not now, when? Look at what just happened, Lily said. Nobody was stealing anything, Ben exclaimed. Was it both of you? Lily asked. What? Ben stammered. I've seen you two together. Was it both of you? Lily asked again. No, Ben said. Look, just let me out. I didn't do it, but I don't like this. I don't like where it's headed. Look me in the eyes and tell me you didn't have anything to do with it, Lily said. Lily, lay off of him. Carly cut in. Just let me out of the car. I'll go. I didn't do it, but I'll go, Ben said. Good, that sounds great, Lily said. Lily, this is crazy. Stop, Carly said. The RV suddenly runs over a walker that gets caught beneath it. Shit. Kenny huffs. What's going on up there? Lily asks. I hit something, we gotta stop, Kenny said. All right, well, we can deal with this now, then, Lily said. Kenny pulls over. Ken, are you sure it's safe? Katja asked, worried about him going out there. Should be. You just focus on duck, Kenny said. Lily looked to Ben and Carly. You two, come outside. Lily, Carly sighed. Out. They oblige and exit the RV. Lily crouches down and sees the walker caught beneath the RV. Kenny, the RV has some surface damage but there's a walker trapped underneath. Kenny groans. God damn it. Everyone, keep your eyes peeled. Kenny tries to pull the walker out. Fucking thing ripped in half. The others go back to arguing, much to Kenny's annoyance. You know what, we shouldn't just kick you out, we should hear what everybody thinks, Lily said. I think you should chill out, Ben said. I'm not gonna take this. You can push Ben around, but you can't push me around, Carly said. I'm really sorry you feel that way. I'm starting to think maybe it was both of you, Lily said. No. Please, look, it wasn't us, please stop accusing us. Ben pleaded. Just tell us you did it then, Lily said. Ben shook his head. No. This dumb fuck Walker. Kenny commented in the background. Ben, you have no other options here, Lily said. Leave him alone, Carly said. I think you both are protesting a bit much. If it wasn't your idea, you can tell me it was Carly and then everything will be right as rain, Lily said. Don't you think so, Kenny? I don't know. Fuck. Just stop, would ya? Kenny called back. Well, your vote counts for you and Katja, Lily said. We don't need all these votes. What do I have to do for you to trust me? I'll do anything. I'll do watches for months, Ben said. The hell you will, Lily said. I'll get more food, more medicine, anything, just. Lily cut him off. You think any of that is good now? Just let me stay, please. God, please. Ben begged. You're pathetic. Look at you, Lily said. Do we need any more evidence than this? Fuck evidence. Stop treating him like this. Shut up, Carly. I've heard enough out of you, Lily snapped at her. Kenny. What's it gonna be? Just gimme a damn minute, Kenny snapped back. Ben, you have until that walker is dealt with to tell me it was her and not you, Lily said. Stop this. You're torturing him, Carly said. Ben refused. No. Ben, Lily hissed. Stop, Carly snapped. This is about trust, and I've never trusted you, Lily said. Please don't kick me out of the group. Ben pleaded. Then tell me the truth. Now, Lily said. Kenny successfully pulls the walker out from under the RV. There, I got him. Please, let's just get back in the RV, Ben said. Lily shook her head. That's not happening. Carly huffed. You think you're some tough bitch, don't you? Like nothing can hurt you, but you're just a scared little girl. Get the fuck over it. Why don't you try helping somebody for once? Kenny stomps on the walker's head, killing it. He then approaches the group. Now, what the fuck's the problem? Lily draws her pistol and aims at Carly. Don't. Clementine, who had made her way to the door of the RV, suddenly grabbed Lily from behind, just as the woman pulled the trigger. What the fuck? You were gonna shoot me? Carly snaps. Kenny grabs Lily's wrist and slams her against the RV. Drop it. Lily lets the gun fall from her hand. What the fuck is wrong with you? Kenny inquires. Kenny, what's happening? Katja calls, panicked. Keep duck away from the windows. Jesus Christ. Get in. We're leaving this crazy bitch, Kenny said. No. We can't. We can't just leave her to the walkers. Clementine argued. Clem, knock it off, get inside, Kenny said. The teen refused. Play please. We have to stick together. We're safer together. Clem, Kenny groaned. If you leave her, I'll stay too, Clementine said. Don't be stupid. Kenny huffed, grabbing the young girl's arm. We can't just leave her out here alone, Clementine said. Fuck it. Just get in and we'll figure out what to do with you, Kenny said to Lily. I was trying to protect all of us. I don't have anything left. Lily mutters. Carly, tie her up. Kenny ordered, tossing her some rope. Gladly. Carly takes the rope and ties Lily's hands behind her back. Kenny tosses her gun on the table in front of Ben, who sits across from her. Ben fearfully takes the pistol and points it at Lily. Kenny heads up front and starts driving again. Clementine glances to Lily and then shakes her head in disapproval. She feels hurt that things have gotten to this point. Carly soon comes over and sits beside Clementine and Danielle. "Are you okay?" Clementine asked the woman. "I am. Thanks to you." Carly nods. "Clem, sweetheart, can we have a word, please?" Katja's voice suddenly reaches her ears. Clementine hesitates. "Go on. I'll stay here with Danielle." Clementine frowned and slowly stood. She made her way to the front of the RV. "Are you mad at me?" Clementine asked. "No, darling. Just..." Kenny trails off and Katja lifts up Duck's shirt to reveal a bite on his stomach. "Oh no," Clementine gasped. "Oh God." "Happened during the raid," Kenny mumbled. "What are we gonna do?" Clementine asked. "I'm going to keep an eye on him and see what I can do, from a medical perspective. We just thought you should know," Katja said. "I don't feel good," Clementine mumbled. "It's gonna be okay, Clem. Just try to get some rest, okay?" Kenny said. The girl didn't respond, she just went back to sit down. "You okay, Clementine?" Carly asked. The girl didn't respond for a while. "Clem?" Duck spit. Clementine finally said. What?" Carly's eyes widened. The teen looked to her with teary eyes. "Everything's so awful." Carly hugged the girl and said, "I know, Clem. I know." Clementine wakes up and looks around. She hadn't realized she was so tired. She lifted her head from where she had been resting against Carly's shoulder. Danielle is still asleep on the other side of Carly. "Hey, kiddo. You okay?" Carly asked. "No," was Clementine's quiet response. Carly figured as much. "We got something up ahead," Kenny said. "Stay with Danny, okay?" Carly said to Clementine. The teen nodded. Carly headed to the front of the RV to see what was in front of them. "Damn it. Road's blocked. Now we gotta deal with this," Kenny grumbled. The RV pulls to a stop in front of a railroad crossing with a train stopped in the middle of the tracks. Carly, Kenny, and Ben get out of the RV and approach it. "Is there any way to get around it?" Ben asked. Kenny shook his head. "Doesn't look like it. On foot, maybe. Can't really afford to do that now. This seems like a safe area. All this brush will stop anything from creeping up on us," Carly said. Kenny agreed. "I'd like everyone out of the RV except her. I don't want folks trapped in there with her." Clementine steps out of the RV, holding Danielle's hand. Katja holds Duck's hand as they both climb out of the RV as well. "Why don't Carly and I go look around?" Ben suggested. "Yeah, everyone else relax. Clem, you and Danny stay close to Kenny and Kat, okay?" Carly said. Clementine just gave a tiny nod. "If either of you come across anything to drink, if there's a dining car or something, I think Duck's a bit dehydrated," Katja said. "It's a freighter, hun. Be careful in there," Kenny said. "I can check the RV. I think there was some water in there," Clementine said. "All right, just be careful. I don't want you around that psycho," Kenny said. Clementine just sighed. Danielle sat with Katja sadly looking to Duck. Clementine hesitantly went to the RV and entered. "Lily, are you okay?" "I'm sitting here, tied up like an animal, while you guys decide what to do with me." "I'm not okay, Clem," Lily replied. "It's not like that," Clementine said. "Then what's it like?" Lily asked. "You scared everyone. You almost killed Carly. We already lost Sean. Wasn't that enough?" Clementine goes to grab a water bottle but is surprised to see Lily has freed her hands. "I get it. But I'm not staying here," Lily said. "What are you talking about?" Clementine asked. "You should take more than just that water bottle." "Because I'm leaving," Lily said. What? "Grab some of that supplies, but I'm not sticking around," Lily said. "I'm only letting you take that supplies because I'm not gonna make you and Danny suffer. I care about you girls." "Then why are you doing this?" Clementine asked. "Because I have to. Don't try to stop me, Clem," Lily said. "Where will you even go?" Clementine asked her. I heard of a place. Somewhere called Wellington. Lily replied. Wellington? Yeah. I managed to get a radio signal a few weeks ago, thought the place was bullshit. I might as well go find out since no one needs me around here anymore, Lily said. Boo, but we do need you, Clementine claimed. Lily shook her head. This group doesn't give a damn about me. Besides you, Danielle, and my own father, no one cares. It's better to go than for me to be shot in the back later. Clem, what's taking so long? Kenny called from outside. Lily suddenly hugged the girl, feeling the teen tense from the sudden embrace. Take care of yourself, Clem. Before Clementine can say a word, Lily shoves her out of the RV. The woman tosses some supplies out to the girl and then gets into the driver's seat and starts the vehicle. Holy shit, she's stealing the RV. As the vehicle began to drive off, Kenny chased after it. Come back here, you crazy bitch. Fuck. Stop. The RV soon disappeared from sight. Kenny swore. God. Fucking. Damn it. I'm sorry. Clementine sniffles. I'm so sorry, Kenny. Kenny sighed, taking a breath to calm himself, then pulled the girl into a hug. That wasn't your fault, darling. It wasn't your fault. Clementine fought back tears as she returned the hug. We're gonna figure out how this train works. We'll be okay. Kenny broke the embrace. Once we get this train going, we'll head to the city. The coast. Go sit with Kat, Clem. We'll figure something out. Okay. Before Clementine could head over, they suddenly hear the train squeal. Kenny smiles, happy that it's still working. Hear that? That thing still works. That's a good thing. Kenny gave Clementine a light pat on the head. He hands her the bag of supplies that Lily threw out before heading over to the train where Ben and Carly were. This fucker works? Kenny asked. Seems like it, Carly said. Kenny sits in front seat. I'll be damned. How the hell do we get it moving? I don't know, ask Mr. Amtrak over here, Carly said, motioning to Ben. Ben, who was dragging a body away, shrugged. No clue. We found this in the boxcar back here. Carly handed him a map. Whoa, is this what it looks like? Kenny asked. I think so, Carly said. This hos will take us right to Savannah. 100 tons of steel. Put 1,000 walkers between us and the ocean and we don't have to give a shit. I can't believe it, Kenny said. Ben returns from disposing of the corpse. We also found a notepad. It seems like it's instructions on starting the engine. But the pages are gone. I can kinda see the indentations from the writing though, Carly explained. If only we had a way to know what the fuck it says, Kenny sighed. Ben, if you could keep an eye on the girls and duck, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to make sense of these controls. Ben just nods, then heads off. As Carly and Kenny continued to check the train, Ben filled the others in on what they found. We found a notepad with instructions, but we can't read it. The actual page it was written on is missing, Ben said. Really? Maybe I can help with that. I used to do leaf rubbings when I was a kid. They were pretty fun, Clementine said. If you think that will help. Ben shrugged. Clementine reached in her bag and pulled out a pencil. I'll be back, Danny. Sit tight. Danielle nodded. Clementine headed towards the train. Carly and Kenny were surprised to see her. What are you doing in here, Clem? Carly asked. I'm here to help with the notepad, Clementine said. This? Carly handed it to her. Yeah. I think I know a way that will help you be able to read it. All right, if you think so. Carly handed the girl the notepad. Clementine uses the pencil to scribble the notepad. The indentations stand out against the scribbled on page. Ta-da. Nice job, Clem, Carly said. Yeah, now we should be able to just follow the steps to get the engine on, Kenny said. Let me see that thing. Clementine hands it to him and he looks it over. Kenny toggles the switches as shown on the notepad and the dashboard lights turn on. Son of a bitch. It's working. He turns the dials as shown on the notepad and the red light switches to green. Now we're talking. Clem, you head back over to Katja. I need you to stay with her in case Duck needs something. Okay, Clementine agrees and heads back over to Katja as Kenny and Carly continue working at the train. How's it going, sweetie? Katja asked. Good, They're figuring things out, Clementine said. We'll be out of here in no time. That's good, Catjar said. Clementine nodded, then looked to the young boy in Catjar's arms with concern. How's Duck? Not great, Catjar sighed. Clementine really hoped he was okay. She knew she was when she got bit, but seeing how sick he was, worried her. How are you, Clem? Catjar asked. I don't know. Clementine answered honestly. I understand. If you want to talk. I'm here, Catjar said. Thank you, Catjar, Clementine said. See Clem, Danielle suddenly called. Clementine looked to her. Yeah? Danielle pointed towards someone, looking fearful. The others looked to see a man approaching. Did you folks take any of my stuff? No. Well, just a map, and a notepad. But we didn't know anyone else was here, Clementine said. It's okay, y'all can keep that. The man said. I'm not here to cause trouble. This is just where I stay. You live here? Catjar asked. Basically, been here for a long while. It's nice seeing friendly faces around here. Don't get a lot of that. The man said. Although you all don't look too happy. We lost a lot today, Ben said. I think we've all lost a lot, kid. The man said. I'm Chuck, by the way. Nice to meet you, Chuck, Catjar said. I'm Catjar. My son's name is Duck. Pleasure to meet you, Chuck said. I'm Ben. Ben introduced himself. Clementine. This is Danielle, Clementine said. Pleasure to meet you all, Chuck said. I like your guitar. I can't remember the last time I saw one, Clementine said. Sometimes the best kind of company is music. Wanna hear a tune? Chuck asked. The girls nodded. Chuck began to strum away at the guitar strings, playing a calming song. Catjar gave a small smile. It's so nice to meet someone normal for a change. Duck coughs. I'm awful sorry your son's not feeling good, Chuck said. I appreciate your concern, Catjar said. Well, with a little TLC I'm sure he'll be fit as a fiddle in no time. And I can offer y'all whatever I got, although it ain't much, Chuck said. The hell are you? Kenny inquired, walking over. Get the fuck away from them. Kenny, stop, Catjar said. He's not a threat. What's going on? Carly walked over as well. Sorry to startle you folks. I just figured I'd come say hello, considering you people are guests in my home, Chuck said. The name's Chuck. Chuck? So you live here? Have for a good while. I don't have much, but I'll offer what I can. Thank you, we'd like to do the same, Catjar said. What's the catch? Carly asked. No catch, Chuck said. We appreciate it, Catjar said. Why don't we hold off on? Catjar cut her husband off. Stay with us, we'd like the company. Kenny sighed at that. I guess that's that then. Why are you alone? Carly asked. Why not? Seem to be doing all right, Chuck said. Okay, then. Carly huffed. I'm sorry, it's just been this way for a while. You seem like a good group of people though. It's nice having some company, Chuck said. You caught us on a bad day, Carly said. Hey, you still got a couple kids. That's some kinda something. Chuck replied. You have any family? Carly asked. Out there, somewhere. Been sort on my own for the past, 14 years now. Chuck shrugged. I'm sorry to hear that, Catjar said. No one to blame, was Chuck's response. So, you're homeless then? Kenny asked. Suppose. I've had homes here and there and they just don't work out, Chuck said. So where are y'all going? Hopefully to Savannah, Kenny said. Savannah. I'm pretty certain Route 27 will get you straight there, Chuck said. Really? Catjar asked. Chuck nodded. Yep. That's what that map said. I think we're about good to go. Everyone gather whatever you have. Let's move, Kenny said. Everyone gathers the supplies and walks over to the train. Kenny looks to Chuck. Want a ride? Well, it sounds like you're taking my home, Chuck said. That's a yes, then. Kenny replied. Haven't found anything better for keeping the creepy crawlies out than that boxcar. Chuck climbed into the boxcar. Kenny. Catjar calls. He is getting sicker. Let me look at him. Kenny examines Duck, then takes a step back after noticing how pale and sickly he is. Is the train really a good idea? With Duck like this, maybe we should focus on one thing at a time, Clementine mumbled. Get on the train, Clementine, Kenny ordered. The girl frowned but obliged. Kenny. Katja frowned. She's just concerned. Well, she has no reason to be, Kenny said. Get on, Kat. I'll be up front. I don't want to hear any nonsense until we get where we're going. Kenny enters the train cab. He uses the throttle and the train begins to move along. Everyone except Kenny sits in the boxcar. They all notice Duck's worsening condition. Got to be hard on ya, eh? 3 adults taking care of 4 kids, no disrespect to you older ones, Chuck said. There were more of us, Carly said. Chuck frowned at that and asked, Did get 'em? Somewhat, Carly said. Livin' got 'em, Chuck said. Duck cough a bit more, the others concerned when they see blood. Clem, I need you. I need you to go get Ken. He'll listen to you? Katja speaks in an urgent tone. Is he okay? Carly asked. Katja shakes her head. Would you get that off his face? My hands are full here. Carly picks up the rag on the floor and wipes the blood off Duck's face. He's out of time. We need to stop this train. Clementine, please try to talk to Kenny. Okay, Clementine said. The young girl stands and exits the boxcar. She then enters the cab. Kenny, you need to stop the train. That's not happening, Clementine. Go sit down somewhere, Kenny said. Katja needs you. Clementine told him. She needs you now. Katja's fine, Clem, Kenny said. You have to stop the train, Clementine said. Kenny, listen to me. I said no. Now quit being a brat, Clementine, Kenny snapped. A brat? I'm not being a brat. I'm trying to help you. So just calm down and... How the fuck do you calm down after a day like today? Kenny asked her. I love you, Kenny, but I can't let you do this. Stop the train or I'll stop it myself, Clementine said. Is losing Duck not enough for you? Because you'll lose everything acting like this. I'm not going to let that happen. Kenny takes a breath, letting her words sink in. Finally, he pulls the throttle and the train stops. He steps out of the cab and goes to the boxcar, where Duck is lying on the floor with Katja nearby. Katja looks to him with a sad gaze. Ken. I think it's time. Kenny looked to Chuck. The boy's been bit. In case you haven't figured that out. Ben and Chuck crossed their arms, looking sad. What should I do? Clementine asked. Kenny frowned, shaking a bit. I. Seeing he was unable to answer, Clementine looked to Katja. Katja frowned. It's time to, this is not possible. What are we gonna do? Kenny asked. We can't allow him to become one of those things, Katja said. But what if he doesn't? Kenny said. Kenny, I love you very much. I love our son more than life itself. I need you to hear me. What you are saying, that he may not turn, is foolish. Katja replied. But, Katja stopped him. No. Come on, Kat. There's got to be some other way, Kenny said. If you think of one, let me know, Katja said. Isn't there some sort of pill, or something we can just give him? Kenny mumbled. Stop it. He can just drift off to sleep, right, hun? I mean, Jesus, this is our son, Kenny said, fighting tears. I know. But we know it's. Katja points to her head. Here. Or nothing. Well, fuck, just, who, then? You want me to? Kenny asked. Katja shook her head. You don't have to. I'll do it, Kenny said. No. You don't have to, Katja said. Katja, fuck, I can. I can do this, Kenny stammered, his body trembling more. You can't. I love you, Ken. But this is beyond you, Katja said. Your son loves you and you should remember him as the silly boy we used to have. Not this. Katja picks up Duck. Come on. Let's say our goodbyes. Katja and Kenny go into the forest. Clementine watches them, feeling her heart breaking in her chest. What's happening? Danielle asked. Duck is dying. Clementine answers. I know, Danielle said. Are they gonna kill him? They're putting him out of his misery, Clementine explained. For good? Danielle asked. Clementine nodded. Yes. So he doesn't come back. That's so sad, Danielle said. Clementine nodded in agreement. It is. Suddenly a gunshot is heard and they all flinch. No. Kenny's voice is heard. Clementine feels panic strike her. Kenny? What's happening? Clementine gasped. I don't know, just get into the train. Go, it'll be fine, Carly said. No. I have to see what happened. Before Carly can protest, the teen runs off. Damn it, Carly said. Ben, get Danielle into the train and stay put. But, Danielle tries to argue. You'll be okay, Danny. I'll be fast. I gotta make sure Clementine doesn't get hurt, Carly said. Oh okay, please hurry back, Danielle said. I will. Carly replied, then turned to chase after Clementine. When she catches up to the girl, she is shocked by the sight. Duck sits against a tree, still alive, and Katja lies on the ground, having shot herself in the head with the gun nearby. Kenny holds her body and cries. Clementine is frozen in place, trembling wildly and whimpering. Katja. Why, Kat? Honey, oh, fucking God. You said you could do it, Kat, goddammit, you said you could do it. Kenny shakes more, clutching tightly to her. What the hell happened? Carly asked. She couldn't, she just, fuck. Kenny trailed off and brushes his hand over Katja's face to close her eyes. He picks up the gun and approaches Duck. What do we do? Kenny asked. Give me the gun, Kenny. I'll do it, Carly said. Kenny complies and allows her to take the gun. Don't look, Clementine, Carly said, as she aimed the weapon towards the small boy. Clementine hears her words but can't bring herself to look away as Carly slowly pulls the trigger.